Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to a Social Matrix podcast. I am your host, Armin, and today we have Kieren Brown here with us. He's gonna, before we get into the topic, Kieren, please take it away. Tell us who you are, what you do, and then we'll jump into the topic.
All right, so yeah, I'm Kieren Brown. I am a dating coach. Used to be called Kieren Callum. I basically changed my name. Kieren Brown is actually my real name, but for years I called myself Kieren Callum. And I'll tell you the story behind that. When I first got into this space, I did personal development challenges, and I was doing them while I was working as a contractor in London. At the time, I was worried that if I did these challenges, like I did one called 100 Women in 50 Days, where I went out and approached two women every day for 50 days, and I wrote a blog about it online, chronicling everything I went through. So I was worried that if potential employers saw things like that, they wouldn't hire me. So I created the name Kieren Callum, which is actually based on my mother's maiden name. But recently, it's like, you know what? I've got nothing to hide. I'm doing this full time, so who cares? But anyway, that's that. What do I do though? I help guys get their shit together, essentially. So it's if you are feeling like your dating life isn't what you want it to be, then I can, will, and do help you to transform that. Maybe that's you're not getting enough dates. Maybe that's women get bored of you after a while. Maybe you're finding it hard to meet the right sort of woman. Whatever that basically is for you. The way I help guys is I've got kind of a holistic approach. Something that I've noticed is that most coaches tend to be married to one particular style of personal development. Like I'm sure you might have heard guys say words effective, oh, if you didn't meet her in day game, it doesn't count. I was like, what kind of madness does that? Is that like it? You can meet the woman wherever the hell you meet her, and any tool that you can use in order to make yourself more attractive is worthy and valid. Sometimes that means building a social circle. Sometimes that means learning to go out and do day game. Sometimes that means, and I know this is a naughty thing to say, but having an attractive dating profile. It seems like for a lot of people, online dating is like a dirty word now because most guys don't do well using it. That means that you should just cast it to one side and not use it anyway. If even, but the top 20% of men are doing well on online dating. So why not try and enter that top 20%? But anyway, so I help guys in a very holistic way. And I help them to get absolutely massive results. And one thing that happens with my clients is they will come for the dating coaching, but stay for the life lessons that they've learned. Mm-hmm. So, oh, I thought I just wanted girls, but now I actually have more girls, but I also love myself more as well. That sort of thing. But
Wow.
yeah, there we go. That's me.
Yeah, wow. Well, I appreciate, sharing all of that.
Mm.
And I noticed that you're really passionate about not just, well, we'll get into the topic in a moment. All right, so Kieren, as you were talking, I noticed that you were really passionate about what you do, about being a coach and just helping men. So before we get into the topic, I do want to just talk about that for a moment. What drives you in being a dating coach and helping men? What is like where does this stem from?
Um, so I would say it's that part of it is being a good person. Part of it is wanting to help my younger self. Meaning, so I remember when I was younger, I had so many questions about women I just didn't understand. I remember being at school and realizing that none of the girls I liked me, but it was always girls that I didn't like who liked me. And that just blew my mind. Like, why is it never that a woman who I want wants me? And I know the answer to that now, but I didn't know the answer to that then. And for anyone who's listening, it's basically the fact that women like to date up. That's more or less it, just to round it off. But I had no idea about that back then. And there was tons I didn't know. So many situations I got into where I messed things up. And now it's all of that is transformed, and I have so much knowledge, and it is good to give that knowledge back. But then there's also a part of me that's kind of angry at the world for lying to me as well,
Hmm.
and is trying to take revenge slash, like in the Cold War, they had the communist scare, and the idea was that Russia would send sleeper agents into America, and those sleeper agents would be living as Americans, but their whole job was to destabilize the American economy and make America communist.
Hmm.
And you never knew who the sleeper agents were. Maybe it might be the couple or the family next door. Well, I'm kind of doing that as well.
Hmm.
I'm
Wow.
trying to, because there's this war on masculinity and
Hmm.
things like this. I mean, we've all heard it. Well, people like me and you are actually fighting on the front line against that.
Hmm.
That's literally what we're doing.
So true.
And so that's the reason as well.
Yeah, I love that. No, yeah, that's the nail in the coffin. That's like 100, yeah. And now I see where it stems from. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. No, that's great. And that's actually a really good transition. So the topic today is on masculinity in the modern age and
Mm.
what it means to be a man in 2025. So I'm going to open that up in a more like an open-ended question. So if you want to take that and tell me what your thoughts are on that, and then I have specific particular questions to dive deeper into it.
So I would say the meaning hasn't really changed. I mean, of course, if you ask the world will say, yes, of course it has. But I don't think it has. So when you think of things that a man was supposed to do,
Hmm.
so the man is supposed to protect and provide. That's like the historical, thing a man is supposed to do. And regular people in society today will say, no, that's not at all important because women work and women don't need men's protection and X, Y, and Z. But even though they say that publicly, women still treat men as though they expect them to be like they were back in the day.
Hmm.
So some woman today who works, she doesn't want a man who makes less money than her. She
Hmm.
doesn't. She wants him to make more than her. Why? So she can feel like she's the dainty feminine one. That's obviously it. If they're walking down the street and somebody attacks them, she expects him to risk his life to protect her. That's what she expects. And if he isn't prepared to risk death to protect her, he's not a real man. There's
Hmm.
going to be very few women who are going to be with a man who runs when somebody attacks them, who are going to say, oh, well, that's okay because it's 2025 and I've got this handled myself. They're not going to say. So, I mean, the sort of things that people have expected are more or less always there. The thing is, it's kind of lied about now.
Hmm.
So, it is an interesting thing. I've done a lot of dating around the world, like a lot, right? So, I've in the past 5 years, I've spent most of my time overseas. So I was dating a woman, a Syrian woman, who lived in Dubai for like 4 months this year. I've dated women in Brazil. I've dated women in Bali. I've dated women in Bali from all sorts of countries, like America, the Ukraine, Indonesia, tons of countries, right? Tons. Unlike most men have only really dated in the country that they're from. And if they've done a passport bro thing, really and truly, all I did was I went on holiday for 2 weeks, and you know what I mean.
Hmm.
I have got into relationships with women
Hmm.
around the world, and something I've noticed that's very interesting is that all women are the same, but Western women are the only ones that are deluded.
Hmm.
So if I speak to a Ukrainian woman or an Indonesian woman about the differences between men and women and what women are attracted to, they're like, well, yeah, obviously. Now, can you pass the salt, please? Right? Like it's not news to them at all. It's like, well, yes, yeah, we know. Like you think you're clever. You're not clever. But you say that to a Western woman, she'll go, but she will react. She'll respond to the same stuff as a woman from Bali or from Brazil. She's going to respond to it,
Hmm.
but logically, she doesn't know.
Hmm.
Anyway, So even though your question wasn't really about dating, what does it mean to be a man? I think it means exactly the same as it always has, but there's lots of like it's dangerous to be a man now in a way that it wasn't before. So when I first got into this, there wasn't like a fear around making the wrong move. So guys were always scared of making the wrong move. But if a man was out on a date with a woman and he tried something and she didn't want it, it would just be he would feel like a bit of a loser. Now today, men feel like if they make the wrong move, they're a rapist
Mm.
and they're terrible. And so something that's hard is that you're there with a woman, you want the woman, you want to get with her. But the thing that you need to do to get with her is to make the first move. However,
Mm.
you believe, or should I even say no, that there's a damn good chance that if you make the first move, she's going to hate you and vilify you online and things like this. Well, you know, like the Coldplay thing that happened the other day. Now, granted, that wasn't about a man making a wrong move, but men are worried about that level of
Mm.
situation occur to them. You're worried about that. So it's like, okay, well, she's a strong, independent, powerful woman. I guess she'll do it for me, right? She'll let me know when she wants to kiss me. But
Mm.
she ain't letting you know. She ain't letting you know shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that's answered your question.
No, it does actually. And you actually mentioned a few things in there. My favorite is that you mentioned that what it means to be a man hasn't changed throughout the years. It's just people have pretty much corrupted themselves in believing and accepting ridiculous stuff. That's what in the end of the day, that's what it sounds like to me at least. And the second thing you mentioned is that when you asked women, actually, no, the difference between dating somebody from different cultures versus just being a password bro or just, dating women from different cultures, but in your same country. I think that's actually a really interesting thing. I've not heard many, actually, any coach even mentioning that. And it honestly, it's so true. The people around you have always kind of like in the same vicinity, same culture, their ideologies, especially in the Western world, they're going to be stuck in ridiculous social justice warrior things versus the rest of the world that everyone's like, okay, you're just being clever, this is the way it is, Karen, is that going to change? Okay, pass
Mm.
the salt. I love that. That was such a good differentiation between the two. Now, that being said, the men in this age in 2025, and you kind of mentioned some of this, but can you define in what is it that you're doing wrong versus men from, let's say, I'm a 1990s kid. So versus men from, back in the day, we didn't have all of these, no offense to people that dyed their color, their hair and everything, or transgender individuals, but we didn't have all of that. That's like kind of like a new thing that happened. Okay, so what what are the things that men are doing wrong right now in not fulfilling their masculine self versus what it was in the past?
I mean, okay, I guess here's what I think. The first thing that comes to mind, and I know your question isn't really about dating, but this is the first thing that comes to mind. So there's a guy I'm friends with. Now, I went to school with this guy. We went to high school together. He was in my class. And we were never really great friends, but we were always very, very, very friendly and we had no problems. So I saw this guy every day from like age 11 till 16. And since leaving high school, bearing in mind I'm 43 years old now, and so is he, I've met this guy maybe a handful of times. The last time I met him, we went out for a drink about 2 weeks ago. And it was really cool. I went out for a drink with him, we were talking, and obviously I tell him about the coaching. He's been married for a long time. He's been married for such a long time that he's got children that are at the school that we went to.
Mm.
He's got teenage age children.
Mm.
I think his oldest child is like 20, 21. So I'm telling him about men, and he's kind of shocked that guys really need dating coaches because in his day slash our day, he's like, well, I would just go up to a woman and be a bit of a cheeky chap and have a bit of charm. and it would either work or it wouldn't.
Hmm.
And it was just quite normal for guys to just try it. Like the percentages of men who were too scared to talk to girls back in the day was really slim. Now I was one of those guys. I was literally one of them. That's why I got into this. But most men would give it a shot. Today, guys aren't giving it a shot.
Hmm.
They're not. And I think that kind of like translates to everything. Like another thing as well is like if you look at every generation from say the World War II generation to today, there's just like less aggression in them in each one.
Hmm.
So I think this idea I've had in my head is like if you had the men who were in their 20s to 40s during World War II in like a battle royal with the men who are in their 20s to 40s in the 70s and 80s, and then like the men who were in their 20s to 40s, say from 2010 to today, something like that. The World War II generation are definitely going to win
Hmm.
because they went through hardship all the time. Like, okay, here's an example. My dad has got dementia. And it's really sad. And he was this really strong man who'd just been broken down by this disease. He's a shell of his former self. But what was his former self?
Hmm.
My dad, 80 years old, in all of the years that I have been that man's son, never once have I ever seen him take a day off work.
Hmm.
Not once. And he only hit me like last year.
Hmm.
He only hit me. It's like, I've never seen dad take a day off work. And I said that to my brother, like, have you ever seen dad sick? He's like, no, I haven't. Now, does that mean dad's never been sick? Nah. Really and truly, I bet dad's been sick tons of times, but he just kept going and he just soldiered through it
Hmm.
because he just believed that that was his duty.
Hmm.
So, something I've realized is that, let's say you got pain, right? Like physical pain.
Hmm.
You don't have to capitulate to the pain. You don't have to. So you can be in the gym and you can be tired, right? And you're like, your legs are burning because you're on the cross training, your legs are burning. But that leg burning sensation is actually a sensation.
Hmm.
Now, the story that goes on in your head where you say to yourself, but that's not the leg burning thing. That's a different thing.
Hmm.
And you don't actually have to say, you don't have to say that at all. You can actually be, all right, well, fuck it, my legs are burning, let's keep going. That's the whole thing that David Goggins does.
Hmm.
That's his whole thing. But the thing is, David Goggins is only special because he lived today. I'm pretty sure if David Goggins lived 100 years ago, he'd still be like pretty up there, but there'd be way more David Goggins
Hmm.
back then. Like there would be. You know, like the Spartans, right? Like the
Hmm.
Spartans were all like David Goggins, weren't they? That was the
Hmm.
point. So there's that as well, you know, to say we're too comfortable.
Hmm.
But we actually are though.
Hmm.
We actually are really comfortable. So like the modern man, it's like very, very, very timid and afraid to take a risk.
Hmm.
Very like too afraid to say, oh, I don't want to go to the gym because I'm afraid of being in the gym and being around these fitness people, and I'm not a fitness person, and I'm scared about how that's going to look, or I don't want the actual physical pain of going to the gym, or
Hmm.
oh, I am scared to learn stand-up comedy because people are going to laugh at me, or
Hmm.
or they won't laugh at me, so to speak. Or I can't go to a salsa class because I'll be trying to dance and I'll have two left feet and I'll look stupid in front of everyone.
Hmm.
So like very, very, very afraid of facing any kind of discomfort or failure.
Hmm.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, wow. I'm actually getting into, not getting into, I've been doing dancing. Makes
mm,
me very, very uncomfortable, but I know there's a light there. There's some truth in there. And I'm getting more into dancing, and it is a nerve-wracking process, but it is really like it has a lot of love in there, a lot of joy. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
And
that's
you just get better. You keep going and you just get
exactly. Yeah,
better,
yeah.
better. So that's what I think.
No, that's great. I like that. Really deep. Your answers are really deep, which is great. Okay, this is what I like. Cool. So let me see. Now, when I think about masculinity, I think about the red and blue pill,
Mm,
the ideologies of it.
mm.
Now, before we get into it in a deep level, can you define, I mean, I'm sure you can, but how do you define the red and blue pill ideologies?
Okay. So here's what I define it as, and it's interesting that you bring them up because there's a concept. By the way, you might be seeing my girlfriend
Mm,
walking in the background. There's a concept called purple pill that I'm working on. Right.
mm,
Mm. Anyway, so red pill.
mm,
Okay, I guess we'll start with blue pill. Blue pill is the Western notion of how the world works. I guess like predominantly in a dating sense, i.e., be really nice, be courteous, buy her flowers. You know, all of the typical stuff that we see. For instance, if your girlfriend dumps you, um, get a stereo, play her favorite song, wait outside the window and play the song and let her hear you outside. And then, yeah, and just stand there looking while playing, playing the song. And eventually she's going to come around. It's all that stuff. Mm.
okay.
And the red pill is stuff that people don't want to admit,
Mm,
but is actually true. For instance, that women want a man who's stronger than them, faster than them, all that sort of thing. Or that women are aroused by men that are sexually dominant and maybe aggressive.
mm,
That if your woman dumped you, rather than do the thing I just said with the boombox, actually go out and get a woman who's even better looking than her and post a video of you on social media with that woman who clearly thinks you're amazing,
mhm,
then your woman's going to come back. Things like this. So the red pill is actually hard truths about the way women slash society really works that people in Western society don't want to admit, partially because they don't consciously know it, and secondly, because it sounds really horrible.
mm,
It doesn't, a lot of the truths about how women really operate don't make women sound good if you believe that
mm,
we're not animals.
mhm,
If you realize that we're animals, it's like, well, yeah, obviously. But if you want to believe that like, we've elevated above our primitive beginnings and that we're not actually animals like lions or dogs or whales. That was something better. If you want to believe that, then yeah, this makes people look really bad, makes women look bad.
mm.
So I guess that's the difference between the red and the blue pills.
Okay, and then you mentioned something you're working on. Is that something you want to talk about right now,
Yeah,
or?
yeah, I'll talk about it. So there's an idea I have in my head,
Yeah.
which is that so I'm in a relationship and something I've been consciously aware of for a couple of years is how do you have a great relationship
Mm,
that has the best of both worlds? Because if you're blue pill, then it's you're beneath her, she's a goddess, blah, 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 and she gets bored and she's not turned on. Okay, great.
mhm,
But if you're just Mr. Red Pill, right?
mhm,
You're a woman. I don't give a shit about you. I'm on my purpose. I don't care. If you died, I'm just going to carry on with my life. You can't have a relationship being like that. It's just not possible. Like, well, I mean, not a good one anyway. Like, not, it'd be a very toxic situation. So in my head, there's a concept called purple pill, which I'm kind of, but like, I haven't fully fleshed this out at all. But the idea is, how do you maintain the qualities of an attractive man while actually still having a heart and a soul?
mm.
Basically, that's it. So like I said, I'm in a relationship. My girlfriend, I just gave her a massage, and it was like an actual massage because she works out a lot and she gets pains from working out.
Mhm.
I must have given her a massage for about like an hour, and it was like a proper massage. I'm really trying to give the best possible massage that I could give. This wasn't a sexual thing. I'm like massaging.
Mhm.
Now, that's not very red pill. I suppose I'm a simp, right? Because she should pay for a fucking massage therapist herself or something like that. But I want a great relationship with a great connection.
Mm.
So that's it. But again, I don't have like a manifesto to give you yet. You know what I mean?
All good. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
But yeah.
Yeah. My energy drink is purple, so maybe it's we're in a similar
Fine.
frequency. Yeah, it's purple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. There we
similar
go. It's a
frequency.
sign.
Yeah.
It's a universe.
Yeah, yeah, it is honestly. Synchronicity. No, that's good. All
Mm.
right. Now, okay, you kind of already mentioned this, but I'm just gonna ask it, and then you could break it down however you like.
Mm.
So, from the red pill and blue pill, what are the common misconceptions you encounter about both of these blue and red pill ideologies in your coaching practice?
All right. Well, I wouldn't say I encounter misconceptions in my coaching practice because, to be honest, when I'm coaching guys, I'm just telling them how the world works. And I don't really use the term red and blue pill that often. I only kind of really use it when I'm like speaking to society as a whole,
Mm,
really. So I don't really encounter misconceptions there. But a big misconception that I do see is, you see, like if I say something like, if you're a man and you are with a woman and you lose your job, she's likely to lose interest in you. Women might get offended. But in me saying that, that's a red pill statement, by the way. In me saying that, people think that I'm saying that's the way it should be, or that's the way I want it to be.
mm,
You know, if you say, when you say red pill statements, people think that, I guess it's because that's what they do.
mm,
But they think that if I say something like, oh, a man's job is to protect and provide, that I'm saying I want a man's job to be to protect and provide.
I hear you.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying from what I can see, right? This is the way the world actually works. It's like literally like you study an ant colony and you go, oh, so there's a big, massive ant in the middle that every other ant seems to be trying to protect.
Mm,
Oh, okay. So I guess the way ants work is that that ant there, I guess we'll call that one the queen.
mhm.
That one's like the boss of everything, and then all the other ants are basically servants of the queen. What? You feel like ants should be servicing one gigantic ant, so one ant should have all the power? No, not really. I'm just saying if you have a look, that seems to be what's going on. So that's it. So when people say red pill stuff, like there's this idea that you're giving your wish for how the world would work, which ain't, that's not it at all. But then yeah, so I guess with blue pill stuff, it's like people believe that we can beat biology, or the way you want it to be is the way it could be. So it's like if you say men, like here's one, like Leonardo DiCaprio with the young girls, right? People act like they can't understand why. Why? Why does Leonardo DiCaprio go for these young women? It's like, really, you don't see how a man who is ultra rich and successful and has access to more or less any woman on the planet goes for women that are in their physical primes. You can't comprehend it at all. You can't. You can't wrap your head around how that can be the case. And it's just, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, what? It's okay. It's just so freaking obvious. But that's it with the blue pill. It's like we don't want to address the way things are, and it's if we can say, oh, of course, men should date within what's age appropriate, and there's no reason for a man above a certain age to be attracted to a woman under a certain age. That if you say it, you'll make it true. You ain't gonna make it true. Now, if you want to say it's inappropriate for men over a certain age to date women that are younger, so even though you're attracted to them, don't do it. Fine, I guess. I mean, I'll say let people do whatever they want, but at least you're being more honest. But to act as though you cannot comprehend, to act as though Like all over the world right now, there's men in their 60s looking at Pornhub, masturbating to girls that are 24.
Mhm.
All over the world. That's just the way it actually is. So yeah, the red pill is basically about saying this is the way the world actually is, where the blue pill is like, well, this is the way the world should be. Although not all of the red pill is actually true though. Like it may more or less is, but again, it's like you can't have a great relationship based on red pill principles. And then the red pill goes too far as well because the red pill they think that like you will never find a woman who'll support you when you're down. And it's like that's actually not true because I've had women who supported me when I was down. I
Mhm.
have. I've been broke and been with women who like I can think of a woman right now. I was in a relationship with her and I was broke, and she was not bothered by the fact that I was broke. And she wasn't ugly. Now, was she rare? Yes.
Mhm.
Right? Was she rare? Yes, but
Mhm.
she existed. Another red pill thing they say is, oh, women don't take accountability. And it's like, no, most women don't take accountability.
Yeah.
But here's the thing most women don't work on themselves,
Mhm.
right? Women who are into self help take accountability because in order to do self help, you have to look at yourself as a real person.
Mhm.
So any woman who's really into some form of personal development or into spirituality, those women take accountability.
Mhm.
But of course, that's not the average woman. But if you just listen to the red pill community, they'll tell you, oh,
Mhm.
if she has a vagina, ovaries, and breasts, she does not take accountability. That's not true.
Mhm.
My girlfriend takes accountability.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
It sounds like red pill, they make a lot of straw man fallacies. Is that a fair statement?
All right. Just so I'm clear, what exactly is a straw man? Because I
Yeah.
think I know what it is, but
Yeah.
just
I was
so
hoping you would know, so I don't have to think too hard. But okay, so straw man fallacy would be it's an example of the ant. You
mm,
said that, these workers are helping out the queen. The queen is the boss. And
mm.
then someone takes that and says, oh, okay. So you're saying that we all have to serve one person. This person is like, they take something and then they make it a blanket statement, but it's not even like the point you're making.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think both sides do it.
They do. Okay. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I think both sides do
Yeah,
it.
that
Yeah,
makes sense.
I don't think either side is perfect. And so something about me is like, even though if I had to pick a team, if there's a gun to my head, I got to pick a team,
Yeah.
it's gonna be the red pill
Hmm.
because I feel like it's more true.
Yeah,
But
I
I
agree.
don't think either side is completely true, and I don't feel like I have to pick a team either.
Mm.
You know, so if if men do something that I don't agree with, I will call men out for doing that thing that I don't agree with. If women do stuff that I don't agree with, I'll call women out. I'm all about what's true and honest.
Mm.
Like something I say to my clients a lot is I've noticed that most men don't even begin to contemplate the fact that the women that they're trying to date are actually human beings.
Mm.
They don't think about it at all. So when they're on a dating site and they look at a woman's profile, all they care about is, do I like the look of her body and do I want to put my dick inside her? That's more or less all they care about. And they
Mm.
forget that there's a human being.
Mm.
And maybe even if just for like a selfish perspective, but speak to the human being about something that the human being actually cares about. And you might, you're going to be more likely to get a date. For instance, if you're talking to a woman and she has a picture of herself on the ski slopes, and let's say she's got 3 pictures on the ski slopes on a profile of 6 pictures. She probably really likes skiing, right? Therefore, if you speak to her about skiing, you'll probably
Mm.
get a good response. But most men don't realize that women are actually human beings. They don't,
Mm.
There's not something they're interested in at all. So it's like, oh, we know, whatever. Or how many times I've had this happen where a guy's on a date? This would be like a client, and he's on the date, and he has a no. Let's say he's not on a date. Let's say he goes out with his friends, and he meets a girl, and he has a great time with this woman, and she gives him her number, or like it just goes really well. Like he is so happy with what happened. And he's telling me, he's like, oh, I met this amazing girl. Like, she was so amazing. She was incredible. And I go, why was she incredible? And he says, well, she was hot and she smiled at everything I said. She laughed at everything I said. I'd be like, so did she have any qualities beyond the way she looked that made you think she was worthwhile? And he's like, huh? I was like, well, as a person, does all a woman need is to be hot and to laugh at what you say, and then that's it, you're completely sold. And then their minds are blown because they're like, oh my God, yeah. I didn't realize that women could have personalities and that's something you could be interested in. So yeah, that's something that men do. Although I have slightly derailed your question.
No, you're good. You're good. Actually, something that actually I brought a client out yesterday for some daytime approaching, and something that I always mention, and I'm not saying this to steal your thunder, Kieren, okay?
Mm.
But something I always tell my clients as well is that you got to remember that when you're approaching women, they might be nervous too. They might be anxious. Just because you're nervous and anxious doesn't necessarily mean they're also not feeling the same thing. Because in the end of the day, they're human. They have emotions, they have feelings. So every time I have a client who is, and sometimes I might do this too, if I'm feeling I'm in my own head, I'll just tell the girl, I'll just be like, listen, I'm like, I like to joke around. I'll be like, I am shitting my pants right now, or I'm really nervous. You're making me melt. You're so beautiful. I will gladly tell the woman my vulnerability and what's going on with my inside. A lot of times girls will look at me and say, what are you talking about? Like, you don't look nervous at all. I'm like, no, I promise you. In my mind, I'm like, my heart is like ripping out of my chest. Okay, so you just being vulnerable like that, you will level the playing field, and the person will appreciate you a lot more rather than being like, no, I gotta be confident. I have to be a certain way. I have to be alpha, all these weird mechanical, robotic type of behavior. So no, I really love what you mentioned there. Um,
Well,
Go for
so
it.
to add to what you said,
Mhm.
I would say that owning up to a vulnerability is confident.
Mm.
Like it's not
Mm.
confident. So if you
Mm.
say you're,
That's true.
it
That's
isn't
true. Yeah, yeah,
because you have to be confident to
yeah.
say I'm
That's
I'm not confident, which is a weird irony.
yeah. That's a good one. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Like I had this situation, yeah, because okay, it's like if you're trying to hide something and keep it away, then that thing becomes powerful. But if you bring it into the open, it's
Mm.
kind of nothing.
Mm.
Uh, so
Deep.
yeah, I totally hear you and I agree with what you're saying.
Mm. No, that's deep. Yeah.
Mm.
Right when you mentioned that, my brain was like, and then I put the pieces together. No, that was. I'm glad that you said it. Okay, I didn't
Mm.
even look at it like that. No, that's a good one. I like that.
Right, well,
Cool.
cheers.
So I get this conversation a lot, and when I mentioned that I'm gonna have you on the podcast, a lot of my guys were asking this question. So,
About me specifically or just in general?
well, you specifically, but only
Mm.
because this is your specialty. Masculinity, I feel in my heart like this is your special like thing, okay? Like your
Okay.
expertise.
Mm.
Now, whenever I talk about masculinity to anybody, a main question I get is about vulnerability. How can men cultivate emotional vulnerability without compromising their sense of masculinity?
All right, so here's the thing. All right, here's the thing. So women say they want vulnerability. Right, cool. But then the fear is that you are too vulnerable, and then as a result, you show a part of yourself that's unattractive, and then you lose a woman's attraction, which is a very real phenomenon that does happen. So, but the thing is, it's like the woman who's asking to see your vulnerability is assuming that you don't have too much of it, basically. She's assuming the level of vulnerability that you have is enough for her
Mm.
to still be inherently attractive. That's the assumption.
Mm.
And it's kind of like this. You have to do enough work on yourself so that you can be vulnerable without being unattractive. If you get the point I'm making. So, like, let's say if you've got a guy and he's hanging on by a thread and he's barely keeping it together and his inner world is a chaotic mess and he feels like, oh my God, like the dam is breaking.
Yeah.
If that guy is able to hide all of that in front of women and be charming and whatever, then yes, if he chooses to be vulnerable, he's going to lose all of it because he's just going to reveal that his inner world is actually a chaotic mess.
Mhm.
You have to just take care of yourself to the point where you can be vulnerable but still be attractive.
Mhm.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Are you talking about like I'm gonna go with the negative of being vulnerable is if you're presenting a laundry list, right? If you're emotionally dumping all of your shit onto the girl. Is that where you're going with it? Like that would be like a turn
I
off
I guess,
versus
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Mhm.
Because okay, let me try and explain. So when I'm hearing being vulnerable, what I'm hearing is this man saying, here are all of the things that upset me, either about you or just me in general, life in general, right?
Mhm.
Here are all of my weaknesses. Is this, and this.
Mhm.
And there is a threshold at which women are going to start to be put off.
Mhm.
There's going to be that threshold. Now, the point is, there's an acceptable level of weakness where you're still attractive, but too much, you're no longer attractive. If all of your vulnerability, if when you were to reveal all of your vulnerability, women would lose interest in you, you have to either hide it or work on yourself, which is clearly the ideal, so that you're not as vulnerable.
I have a
So you
twist.
know, hmm?
I have a twist. I have a twist to my okay. So well, you're assuming the vulnerability is negative. I am assuming that the vulnerability is not necessarily negative, but it could also be endearment. Like, hey, I miss your energy, or I'm looking forward in like seeing you tomorrow. So not just vulnerability from a place of
I
negativity. Yeah.
I still think the same occurs though. I think it's the same thing.
Okay. So what would be too much? Like if you miss, like let's say this is not a woman you are just, going on dates, getting to like know her. This is somebody you've already seen for some time. Like not a girlfriend, but somebody who is more than just like a casual fling. How can you express your vulnerability to them without losing your masculinity?
But it's not really like how can you do it? It's more like this. Okay, let's look at it like this.
Okay.
Let's say we've got a gorgeous woman, right? And this is like the most beautiful woman you've ever seen in your life. Then let's assume that there's an arbitrary fresh, and so this woman's a 10 out of 10. Now, for every man, there's going to be an arbitrary threshold at which, if this woman's attractiveness was to go below, he'd no longer be prepared to sleep with her. Okay. And let's say for most men, that threshold is her being 6 out of 10 or 5 out of 10. So we've got this gorgeous woman, right? And everything about her is perfect. Now we make her skin not as youthful as it was before. So now she's gone from a 10 to maybe an 8.5. Then we take her ass and we make her ass flat. Now she might have gone down to 7.
Out. Okay.
Well, yeah, gone. For me,
Gone.
gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
But you see, and so all of these attributes that led to her being a 10, we start removing them, and then eventually we cross that threshold.
Mhm.
And the basic point is like, it's not really like, how do you reveal your vulnerability? Because it's like you say, oh, I really missed you.
Mhm.
Great. But if you were saying that all the fucking time and constantly, if you were constantly doing that,
Not
then
constantly. Yeah. Say
but
like once in a while. Okay, I'm sorry. Go for it. Go for it. Yeah.
the point I'm trying to make is it's not really about how do you do one thing. It's more like the ratio of you being attractive to you being vulnerable.
Mm.
That's more it. It's more about that
Mm.
ratio.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And the point I'm trying to make is you work on yourself so much that you can reveal your vulnerabilities
Mhm.
without being too vulnerable so you lose your attraction.
That's what I'm saying. How can a man do that if he doesn't? Okay, go for it. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying like he works on himself. So what I'm trying to say is this. So let's say you got a man and he's got because like the vulnerabilities you gave, those are positive vulnerabilities, right? All right, cool. But there's also negative ones as well, right?
Mm.
So let's say he has an insecurity, and let's say he's like a jealous guy or something
Mm.
like that.
Okay.
Now that jealousy is gonna come from some like place of lack in his heart. Now, if he works on that jealousy, he's no longer insecure. So that's one less vulnerability to have to speak to a woman about, whether and irrespective of the vulnerability being about her.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. You just work on yourself.
Mm.
That's what you have to do. You
Mm.
work on yourself, but then, like, at the same time, like, yes, you remember also you are a human being. So no man is this complete stoic powerhouse who can be stabbed in the gut and like not feel pain.
Mm.
But yeah,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
that. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
No, no, I completely understand what you're saying. I'm just challenging the thought.
Okay.
So okay, so I hear what you're saying, and actually, I like what you mentioned there is that, if you have worked on yourself, self-development, then you're not gonna, be okay. So let me change the vulnerability to emotionally connected. Okay, so let's say like you're seeing somebody, and I hear this. Oh my God, I can't bear to tell you how many times I hear this. And not just from my own audience, but also I hear this from, I'm not a pickup artist, but I hear this from the pickup artist community, where men will say, you don't want to be emotional, you don't want to have so much emotional like outputs, I guess, with women. You just want to keep them at like at arm's reach and just message them only when you want to get on a date with them. And then what ends up happening is that that specific woman, this is after, some time goes forward, and now you're just like in a rotation or something. But that specific woman, eventually, she's gonna feel like, you're only messaging me just for like a booty call, and I want to have a more of a connection. And let's say the guy actually wants to have a connection, but he's fearful that if he emotionally connects with her, if he says like, "Hey, I miss your energy" or something, he fears that he's gonna lose his frame as a man, and he's gonna lose his masculinity, and he's gonna be more feminine. Okay, so I feel like okay, so that type of mindset, how can you change that mindset to be able to emotionally connect with women without him feeling like he's losing his masculinity? And is that even
Okay.
a thing? Can you even do that?
No, no, I get it. So the
Okay.
way I look at it is this, and honestly, the whole world of creating relationships and great relationships. This is something that I'm learning. So I'm not going to claim to be like an expert on this. I'm trying to figure this out for
Mm.
myself. But here's how I'd look at it. So, what is it? It's about, okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, hey, I missed your energy,
Mm.
as long as your overall energy is that you don't need the woman.
Mm. Mm. That's good.
Like I'd say that's more or less it. So like saying, "Hey, I've missed your energy," that's
Mhm.
cool, but like it's not really the words per se. It's
Mhm.
who's actually saying the words and what's actually underneath the words.
Mhm.
So is it, "Hey, I missed your energy because you're a cool person," but hey, at the same time, I can still go out and hang out with my friends and meet other women and blah blah blah. Is
Mhm.
that still the case? If
Mhm.
that's still the case, great. But is it, hey, I missed your energy because I need your energy to complete me?
Mhm.
And that's the way you're coming across. Well, then that's not good.
Mhm.
Is it, hey, I missed your energy, but you can look on my Instagram and see that I was doing a salsa championship with this gorgeous woman, and you can see us doing wonderful salsa steps, and you feel insecure next to this woman. So you realize that that woman is actually a possibility in my life.
Mhm.
Ergo, when I say, hey, I missed you, that means it isn't coming from a place of weakness, but strength.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's about like who actually is saying the thing,
Mhm.
basically.
Yeah. It's like where it's coming from, right? Is it from a need place? Like some kind of some kind of yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like this, right? Um, you know when some popular rapper or celebrity meets a girl and they're trying to like seduce a girl, they're not paying attention to any of the stuff we're saying. So when Drake is really trying to get with a girl, he's talking to her like a blue pill guy,
Mhm.
right? And that's what he's doing. So he's saying, "Oh my god, I missed you so much. I love you, baby. I think you're incredible." That's all the stuff he's saying to her.
Mhm.
But she isn't thinking that he's a loser at all.
Mhm.
At all. Why? Because it's Drake, and because he has so much stuff going on that all of the attractive attributes
Hmm.
far outweigh that. So when he says, "Hey, I missed you," it's he just misses me. Like she's lucky. He's bringing her onto his level. He's not like lowering himself.
Mm.
And the basic point is work on yourself, hold yourself in a certain manner, and then as a result, you can do stuff that supposedly you shouldn't be able to say.
Mm. I like that.
Like,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, no,
so
keep going. If you have more, please.
this is all the stuff I mean
Yeah.
when I say I'm working on this concept called
Yeah,
perfect.
I like it.
This is like all the stuff I'm talking about. It's not like
Mm.
red pill's wrong. It's not,
Yeah.
but it's also not completely right either. You know, these things aren't as cut and dry as they seem.
Yeah. But
Like they're really
but I agree with you though. Like you're making I like the points you made. You know, it's obviously like it's coming from I say obviously, but it's coming like if you miss somebody and let's say because the whole point of being vulnerable is you're expressing yourself and the point isn't to necessarily get something back. You want to just express yourself.
mm,
But if you want to get something back from them, then it's stemming from some other fulfillment that you're trying to get them to fulfill your own life, which becomes needy, you're chasing, or it's at that point you're not being vulnerable for the sake of vulnerability. You're doing it out of insecurity. It's
exactly.
right. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you in that point. I feel like you haven't said anything yet, which I'm like, I don't agree. No. So I feel like you're on the. This is the same thing I'm thinking too. Okay, so
Lovely, lovely.
you're
Well,
on.
by the way, I'm gonna have to go in about 10 minutes.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool. All right. So let me ask. Okay, so I have like two more questions in here. Let
All
me
right.
see if I just get through one of them.
Mm.
Okay, can you share a success story where a man, like in one of your clients, transformed his understanding of masculinity and saw a significant change in his dating life? And what key lessons can we take away from that experience?
I mean, there's been a lot to be honest with you. I think was the best one. All right. So okay. So a guy I coached last year. Now this guy was your very typical blue pilled man. So he worked in finance, 37 years old, I think. And he was very good at being friendly with girls. Very, very, very good. So he was the kind of guy who women adored. They liked being around him. He made them laugh, they had a good time, drinks, things like this. If anything bad happened to him, they'd be distraught, that kind of thing. But he had an inherent belief that if he was to ever, metaphorically speaking, put his dick on the table, that would really offend them. Because, of course, these women are dainty little flowers. They're virgin like Disney princesses who must be treated a certain way. And if he was to treat them like a whore or a slut, he would be demeaning them and they would hate him. And as a result, he held in his sexuality because he felt that his sexuality was threatening to them, scary to them. The part of him that has whatever fantasies, women would run in fear at the sight of that. And he also believed that they would make the first move as well if they liked him, or they would give him a very clear signal, as in, hey, I would like to kiss you, or I'm really kind of into you. He thought that sorts of things. And I basically showed him that that was not the case. So much of the stuff that we've been speaking about is what I drilled into him. And I showed him that, look, right? Firstly, these women really like you. That's number one. Number two, you are not giving them what they want at all. So, like, here's one thing I showed to him that he thought that when a woman agrees to go on a date with him, she's just thinking to herself, oh, well, he seems like a nice man. Let's have a nice time. And I explained to him that when a woman agrees to go on a date with any man, she's saying inadvertently that she is considering sleeping with him.
Mm.
When he asked her out on a date, he says, "You are someone that I would have sex with, either in a relationship, a fuck buddy situation, or a one night stand, but I could see myself having sex with you." When she said yes, she said, "I could see myself having sex with you too." The positive outcome of a date can only be relationship, which means long term sex, fuck buddy situation, which means semi long term sex, or one night stand, which is immediate sex, right? But either way, for that date to go well, it has to move in that direction, and to move in any one of those directions, there needs to be a sexual spark. So, irrespective of whether or not they have sex on that first date, she needs to leave that date feeling like, I could see myself fucking this guy. If she doesn't, then there ain't going to be a date number two. They can have the best time in the world and laughter and jokes. But if she leaves that date and thinks there is no chance of this man's penis entering my vagina, no date number two.
Mm.
So he thought he's doing women a favor by shielding them from his horrible, ugly, sweaty, disgusting masculine side. But it's like, no, that's what they actually want. They want that. She shaved her legs for that. She might have got herself a wax for that. She's looked at the best outfit that she could wear in the mirror. She might spend like an hour or so getting ready for that. If she wasn't interested in that with you, she wouldn't have met you. It would be like a platonic coffee or something like during the day,
Mm.
or something like this, or hey, let's I don't know. It wouldn't be a date anyway.
Mm.
Once you guys have labeled it as a date, you're making a very clear inference about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I explained to him that women want to be led. That what they want is to be they want to feel like your experience. So you're giving off, I'm giving off radio Kieren, you're giving off radio Armin.
Mm-hmm.
And women are taking in that experience. And when he's on a date with a woman, if he like has a date with a woman and they're planning it and he says, "Hey, so what do you want to do?" That's really bad.
Mm.
Really, really, really bad.
Mm.
Because she's not feeling that masculine intent. Anyway, the long and short of it is totally transform the man situation. That's the long and short of it. But like totally transform. He said that women who he used to feel inferior to were now telling him that they thought that he was too good for them.
Mm.
He's sleeping with women left, right, and center. Send me a text, said, "Fucked her, bruh, made her come 3 times." Like, you sent me like quite a few messages like that.
Mm.
And that's it. So the guy who was like, "Oh yeah, I love him. Yeah, we'll see." And oh, he's so nice. It's not that now. Like there's still that energy. They can still have fun, but at the same time, he's also the man who's gonna pin them down and give them what's necessary too.
Mm.
That's basically what happens with me and my clients.
Mm.
Mm.
Love that.
Like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Nah, that's it. That's it.
Cool. Yeah, I want to respect your time. Okay, I think we have like 2 minutes left. If it's cool with you. If
I
not,
mean, let's squeeze in the last.
okay, let's squeeze it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
My last. I mean, I have like 50 questions, but one last question is, can you share who some of your mentors are in life? This could either be in life and also a game.
Game mentors. Well, David D'Angelo, who's now Eben Pagan, is the
Mm.
reason I got into all this. Because I discovered his book Double Your Dating when I was like 19 years old or something, and transformed my life. Off the top of my head, that's the main one. I used to watch a lot of RSD back in the day as well. Life in general. Life in general. Here's the thing. I mean, an interesting one is Joe Rogan. Now, I started watching the Joe Rogan Experience in like 2013 or 14. I was a very early listener to the podcast. I was watching in like the 400s or so, or like the late 300s, like episode 380. I was watching then. And he made me a much better conversationalist because I noticed that I just listened for hours and hours and hours. And I realized that he approached conversations differently to me. When I was in a conversation, I would have my next statement queued up in my head, and I'm just waiting for the person. He's queued up. I'm waiting for the person to finish so I can say my statement. And then if I didn't get to say my statement, this wonderful, beautiful, intelligent, fantastic statement, I'd be so angry, just angry. And I realized that he wasn't married to any particular thread. And if he didn't get to say something, he just moved on to another thread. I was like, oh my God. But like, that's amazing. So I'd say him. Roald Dahl, well, it was a children's author. He died like 30 years ago now. He wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He wrote Matilda. He wrote Fantastic Mr. Fox, like a bunch of other stuff as well. But I write fiction, and it's all because of this guy here. Who else? Mentors. So here's a funny thing. I wouldn't have said this if you'd have asked me this like 3 or 4 days ago. But even though the guy's a racist bastard, or was, Hulk Hogan.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I was a Hulkamaniac as a kid, and Hulk Hogan had big muscles. I wanted big muscles like this guy. And it's like, he's one of the reasons why I work out to this day. But most importantly, Hulk Hogan's matches would often involve him being battered for a long period of time, and then he would make a huge comeback and come back and win the fight. And what's that telling me, or what did it tell me as a kid? Like, never give up. Keep going. If you encounter hardship, persevere, which is the reason why I'm a dating coach, because that mentality became stuck into my head. So like, that's one. Who else? But then if you want like more practical day by day, like Alex Hormozy, I would say him. But off the top of me, I don't know. I'm drawing a little bit of a blank right now, but yeah, those are the ones I'd say off the top of my head.
Okay, wow. I never thought I will hear David D'Angelo's name in any of these podcasts. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, you know, I have noticed that the world of dating it's so different now to how it was before. It's so different. Like back then when I first learned this stuff, all you learned was how to approach and what to say when you approach. And then I'm not even sure it was even about texting then, because it was like the really early 2000s. I don't think so. But if it was just basically how to approach, boom, get a date somehow, which wasn't considered to be too difficult after you've done the approach. Then what to do on the date, get the woman into bed. Okay, meet the woman in a nightclub, what you're going to do and say to get her to go home with you. But that was it, right? Yeah. Now, there's there's red pill and there's blue pill and the social circle game. The social media game. There's what to do in dating apps. There's how to message women. Of course, they're still approaching women anyway. There's so much more now. So much more. I think it'd be very interesting to see someone like him be single today to see how long it would take him to adapt. Because there's a lot. It's like that guy probably has no idea how to create an attractive dating profile. Zero. I doubt he does, unless he's been keeping up, you know. But I don't think he has. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah. All right. No, this was great, Kieren, and I would love to have you more back here. Is there any final thoughts you want to share with us?
Okay, so here's what I say. To the guys listening, you are going to die someday. And you really got to remember that as well, because people think it sounds morbid, and I suppose it is, but it's also true. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're listening because you think you're dissatisfied with your dating life. And if you are, please realize that tomorrow or next month or whenever you could be run over by a truck. And most guys who are in this space, and it baffles my mind, it really does, it baffles my mind, but most guys are in this space, if let's say 100,000 people watch this video, only 2,000 are actually going to do anything based on the information they got in this video. Literally 2,000. It means that 98,000 of the people watching this video are just watching, and it's like, oh yeah, I like what he's saying. Yeah, it's good information, and then they'll just go back to their lives. Meanwhile, they still, and having the dating life that they want. So if you're thinking to yourself that you're not getting women into your bed, well, you need to fix that. If you want a relationship, go and fix it. If you are dissatisfied with the type of women that you're attracting, fix it. Actually do it. Now, should you hire someone like me or Armin? Yeah, you should. Like, you actually should. Because here's another thing as well. It's like when I coach guys, I'm sure this happens when you coach guys as well, but I coach guys and they learn way faster than I ever did because I'm coaching them. And I was too arrogant. I didn't need a coach. I mean, I had a couple, but like I didn't really invest in it the way that guys invest with me. And it took me years to learn things that guys like learning maybe like 6 months or so with me. And you ain't got time to waste. You actually haven't. So, guy watching this might be 28 now. And if we assume you are, realistically, at what age do you want to stop going out and trying to meet women? At what age would you like to be settled? So I'm 43. Let's give you that. But most guys really want to be settled by the time they're like 35 or something, really and truly. So if you're watching this and you're 28, if you assume that you're not where you want to be, to get to where you want to be on your own is probably going to take you about 4 to 5 years of hard work. Probably, and going out, testing new things, being rejected, figuring out where you went wrong, adapting your approach, trying again. Or you could do it in 6 months with the help of somebody like me. Honestly, get over yourself and just do it. Just do it because you'll be kicking yourself. I've had guys who booked a call with me in 2016 and then they're like, oh, I'll do it myself. I'll do it myself. Ego kicked in. And then in 2022, they come back and go, oh, I'm ready to start coaching. Well, you haven't just lost 4 years of your life. You've lost 4 years of your prime. You haven't lost 4 years of 0 to 85. You've lost 4 years of the 15-year period, max 20, that you have to have all of these fun experiences. You've lost that. And why lose it? And I know, say, like, my girlfriend is amazing. I would not have attracted her if I hadn't have done all of this, gotten to work on myself. 100%. 100%. There's zero doubt about that. Zero. And I wouldn't have had all the great experiences I had leading up to meeting her as well. So yeah, just do it. You're running out of time. And if you want to contact me, well, I guess there'll be a link in the description. So there we go.
Okay. Awesome, Kieren. This was amazing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us your time.
Well, thank you for having me.